Hey everybody, hello. Welcome to the Go Show. And I am one of the hosts, Sika Groves, and I am here today to sit and listen to everybody else talk for a change.
That's right.
And I am a archaeologist or an archaeologist, if I'm using my correct English grammar. An archaeologist. I'm also which is an afterlife switchboard operator, aka a psychic medium. And I've got my two other co-hosts here today, and Rachel's actually going to be the one running the show today because this is her topic. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
That's right. I'm Rachel Bender. I'm a psychic medium and also a paranormal investigator right here in northern New York, America.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ian. I am a paranormal investigator, a paranormal researcher, and I am the third co-host of The Ghost Show.
So, Rachel, what are we talking about today? Because you kind of threw this out here, and I'm not familiar with this location, believe it or not. Can you believe it? There's actually something I'm not familiar with.
No, I can't believe it because you're quite the academic amongst us, aren't you, Seeker? And
Yeah, but
you
this
typically are educating me when it comes to these things. Yeah, this time I'm going to be taking the seat, and I really have been fascinated with this particular island. They've covered it on Ghost Adventures. I believe it's there's been several YouTube channels where people have gone onto this particular island, and that's the island of Poveglia, and it's near Venice. It's in Italy, and it's the if you look at it from above, it's almost like a slice of pizza. It's like a triangle shape, so it is a bit of an unusual shape, and it's broken up, and it does have so much history attached to it, which is what I found incredibly fascinating. And it's very old. And even today, people are still, intrigued by the island, and its history. And its first historical record was in 421. And it was, populated there by residents. And, from there, it's been used as a quarantine station from those suffering from the plague. And that's what it's primarily been used as. In fact, house people in boats onto this island, the Poveglia Island, and, basically used it as a quarantine station. For those suffering from the disease. And eventually from there, it went on to become a mental hospital as well. So the hospital, and they built a hospital in 1776, I believe, around then. And that was awful, it went from a place where they sent people to die of serious diseases to a place where it's supposed to be therapeutic and they were supposed to be helping people. But unfortunately, this mental institution was a place of horror. Obviously, back then, mental health is not what it is today. It was in its infancy. There was a doctor there who was said to be on the island, who was trying to help patients. They performed regular lobotomies. Patients were trained up. There was, obviously a lot of torment on the island. There wasn't much therapy. People, once they got on the island, there were very few survivors. No, very rarely got off the island. So they basically died on the island. And actually, it's said that at least half of the island is covered in human bones, human ash. And during its days there as a mental hospital, and when they were quarantining there, they just built pyres of fires and burnt everybody's bodies on the fire. And because of that, the majority of the island is covered in bones and ash, which is pretty horrific in itself. But that's part of the reason that it has this paranormal background as well. Speaking about this doctor, it's said because he was said to have seen the ghosts of the medieval, the ones that quarantined. This doctor went insane himself, and he was claiming that he saw ghosts, and he couldn't get the ghosts out of his mind. And he climbed up to the bell tower, and there's a bell tower that you'll see that's still there today, I believe. But they removed the bell itself, and people around locally can still hear the bell chiming, even though there's no bell, which is very interesting. But apparently, the doctor went insane himself and climbed up the bell tower and jumped off it and killed himself. So there again, there's another, mysterious death attached to the island. Um, so yeah, so basically so that happened too with the island. And I find it very fascinating. I know at this moment in time today, it still exists. The building's still there. From the old bell tower is still there, but I believe they changed it and converted it into a lighthouse now. Um, and yeah, somebody very recently bought the island in 2014. But yeah, it's just stayed there. It's just like remained. No one, it was bought to convert into a resort. Apparently they were going to actually make it into a resort, but nothing's been said from the Italian government yet. They haven't actually made any groundbreaking ceremonies. Nothing's changed. It just seems like it's been bought out and it sits there. So I guess, yeah, it can only be visited by boats. The Italian government won't allow anybody to actually set foot on the island. They won't give permission for that. And any locals will not go near the island itself. They will stay away from it. Because of its reputation, because they claim to hear voices, and they hear the ghost souls screaming into the night. They hear the bell ringing at the bell tower, and when there's no bell, they had that removed. So yeah, there's just things that they can't explain there going on, and I think, having seen, I'm so curious about this island. I'd love to go and visit it in person. It's something that I think I find very fascinating, but it definitely gives me the creeps, the heebie-jeebies, and yeah, it's a great place. Do you have any questions?
I have a couple of questions actually.
Sure, go right ahead.
So based on the location of this island, right? It's off. Is it part of the Venetian Islands? Is that where it is?
It's in the South Lagoon off of Venice.
Okay, so it is part of the Venetian Islands then. So the people that were going there in the period during the plague, I'm taking, were coming from places like Venice directly, or were they coming from outside of Venice?
Or coming into Venice. They may have been in Venice. They may have been coming in as well, and were quarantined when it was discovered that they were carrying the plague.
Okay.
That's right.
So
they were abandoned there. They were left without any care.
So this is my kind of place. And I say that
I knew it would be.
As an archaeologist, I find these sites fascinating because of the history that's attached to them, but also too because of the ability to understand people at different periods in time by looking at what they did or did not do with, people who fell ill or people who were perhaps schizophrenic or mentally ill. And we have quite a few of these sites dotted, across, let's say, Europe. We have some in North America, but of course the ones in North America are much newer. They're within the last only few hundred years, but we do have these ones going back. So my thought here is, and I don't know if this is the case at the time when Poveglia, is it Poveglia? Poveglia had the assignment on it. Is that something that was able to be visited by the public, or was it private? Because there used to be this sort of weird thing, and you may know, Rachel and Ian, you may know about this, but in places like Paris and London, at the time, the 1700s, early 1800s, these places were attractions for the general public. And there was literally a saying in French. I don't know the French saying, I just know the English translation, but it was along the lines of pay a penny to poke a patient. So you would actually line up at the gate on a certain day. You were allowed into the institutions. They would give you a stick and you would pay your, penny, whatever it might be. And you were able to go into the asylum, and you were actually able to abuse the people within the asylum as entertainment. So because they were keeping people in cages in hallways, and they were, doing things like that, especially people with epilepsy, and that they would confine them to these very small cages where they could only lay down, and they were placed in these cages. They had no clothing. They were sort of left to their own devices,
awful
ways and things. But the sort of upper middle class would be able to pay to come through these places and literally stick people with, like, give them a poke with a stick to see what kind of reaction you would get. And I'm curious if Poveglia also, being where it was and off the coast of Venice, they're part of the Venetian island chain. During this time period, it may also been susceptible to this same form of entertainment. I mean, it's something that we think is very, odd and strange today, of course, that we don't like to treat people with, these types of problems. And I don't even want to say problems. They're just different from us, right? They have a different capacity. We wouldn't think of doing that, but it really was a thing in this time period. So I'm curious, outside of the paranormal side of things, is that something that Poveglia may have also allowed, which in turn may have made some of the people from the asylum even a little more angry and unhappy, and perhaps willing to remain in spirit instead of, moving wherever one goes or believes one goes when they pass.